I 24F got a piercing. Now my partner 29M whines how little I value his opinion. My 24 female partner, 29 male, and me have been together for close to 5 years now. I am a very outgoing person in how I present myself. Tattoos, colorful clothes, statement piece jewelry, etc. He, on the contrary, is rather conservative, but never has been anything but supportive. The artistic way I engage with myself and others was, according to him, one of the main reasons why he felt drawn to me. Over the years we had small arguments here and there about dress codes and whatnot, but that was easily resolved. Now, I have been thinking about getting a labret piercing, lip piercing, for close to half a year now. I talked to him about it. He hated the idea. We sat down and I told him that I was planning on getting one, and he told me he didn't want me to mutilate my face. Well, today I got my piercing, after hearing him out, and telling him that I still wanted one. Before I left for the piercer he told me, "Your journey am." Now I came back, and we had this long conversation where he revealed he felt I don't value his opinion. He brought up how he was the main provider, true, and how therefore he would feel more appreciated if I took his opinions into consideration. I usually do. But from the start we have established that he doesn't get to tell me what to do with my body. Same Z's goes for me. Legitimately, I am so angry at him for it. Because yes, I heard his opinion, I just didn't let it change my decision. Am I the selfish asshole here, who should have not gotten a piercing because he disliked it? Why would he expect me to forego my own bodily autonomy for his opinion? For what it's worth, I think the labret looks fantastic on me. Update. Firstly, a few things I saw getting asked in the comments. Yes, I have other piercings, belly button and nipples, the latter of which he adores. And yes, when bringing up the labret with him, I asked him if he would find that piercing unattractive on me. He said no. He did bring up that he wouldn't want to kiss my piercing whenever we kissed, however, which influenced my choice to get a normal labret rather than a vertical one. No, he does not attempt to tell me what to do in terms of who to meet, where to go, when I should be home, who my friends are, etc. I am safe and don't feel he is controlling, though the way I phrased things above did make it seem that way. Yes, the way our financial situation is currently was pre-negotiated. I moved to his home country because I had an easier time doing so than vice versa, but also meant my career was put a bit on hold. Yes, I brought up to him how him dangling, well, I'm the provider, over my head was a dick move, and he apologized for it. Said it was a moment of insecurity on his end. Now to get to the actual update on our talk. I think the consensus we reached is that the piercing in itself is not the issue. He felt excluded from this whole shebang. He does not find me unattractive with the piercing now. Fuck, this dude met me when I had a buzz cut, which I myself can look back at and say not my best hairstyle LMAO. We discussed how it made him insecure in the relationship that I excluded him in this, and concluded that if I decide to get more piercings, he wants to tag along to hold my hand when being poked with needles. I find that a bit unnecessary, but hey, if it makes him secure, fine. In general, I think over the years he's realized that I am still a very independent person. I never thought that was a bad thing. I would never want to burden my partner by asking for help when I damn well know I can deal with shit on my own. He brought up that this mindset, while he understands it, well, essentially wants to help me. He very grudgingly admitted that he only feels loved when he can be of use. I don't quite know how to explain to him that I'd love him even if he was a worm, but if he needs to provide acts of service to feel loved, alright. I can work with that. If anything, I am a bit shocked it took 5 fucking years for him to admit to me that while he adores me for how independent and confident I am, he does feel insecure in knowing that I don't need him. Like, girl, in my humble opinion, a partnership is not meant to be dependent on the other. I love him for being my gentle giant who I can talk to about anything, who gives the best advice and makes me see things from other perspectives. And yes, sure, he overly worries about my safety, but I am reckless. Not in a self-destructive way, but in the sense that if I think climbing a tree is fun, I will do it even if I scrape up my hands. Essentially, the update is that I found out he feels incredibly insecure, both in how much I love him and if I would not leave him for someone else. You folks have been lovely with advice thus far. Do you have advice for that as well? I think it's weird that he brought money into the conversation about your appearance. Of course, it's ultimately your decision, but at a certain point, you need to look at the consistent, ongoing, and apparently escalating pattern of him not being happy with your fashion and body modification choices, and ask yourself if this relationship is really a good fit for either of you. Oops, he's confused valuing his opinion with obeying his orders. A dictionary should help with that. What does being the main provider have to do with anything? WTF. I mean, yeah, I'd want to at least know if my girlfriend wanted a piercing or tattoo, and I'd cheer her on as long as it's not anything like super inappropriate. But saying he is the main provider is weird and a red flag. Sounds controlling. Just break up. You are not compatible. Well, what to say. I wouldn't get a piercing my partner found unattractive. Then again, I wouldn't date someone who calls piercings mutilating your face, and who holds being the provider over my head to force my decisions. I wouldn't date someone who could lose attraction to me over a tiny piercing or throw a fit about it. I 31F did it. I called off the engagement and broke up with him, 39M. Do you think I was valid? I couldn't do it anymore. I was crying every week. We had only been together since April. I was unsure of things when he proposed to me a month ago. I thought the proposal would mean that he was going to be more serious and a team player with me. I was wrong. The threats of breaking up whenever we got in an argument or disagreement kept going. That was what killed me the most. I would chase after him after most of those times and try to make things right. I told him if he did it one more time I would leave. He threatened to break up with me yesterday morning after we got in a small disagreement, and I decided to leave him right then and there. There were many other things that happened that caused me to have doubts. I did love him, but I felt so miserable and trapped. I'm on day 1. I broke down today and asked him about exchanging belongings. He said that I chose this end to our relationship, when that wasn't the case. I felt forced into this decision. Was I valid? Yes. You wanted to leave the struggle, and you did. Good for you. It's really hard to do that. Find someone who your nervous system can feel safe with. Crying every week is not a way to live. You've only known this man a little over 6 months. You had a lot of fighting, crying, and threats to leave. Of course it's valid. Next time, leave as soon as things take a turn for toxic. The first year should be an absolute joy, not this kind of mess. Yes, you are valid. You are indeed giving yourself the opportunity for a much happier life. The semantics honestly really don't matter, so shrug your shoulders. Don't let him leave venom in your mind just because he can't hurt you anymore. Really late. Seems like a relationship I was in. You dodged a bullet. Absolutely. He showed you who he really is, and you believed him. He also moved way too fast. Engaged after only 6 months. Tell him you'll be by on X date to get your things. He doesn't get to keep them because you rightfully dumped him. Have an officer on standby. You did exactly the right thing. He is claiming you did it, but that was him. He is the one who said you should break up. You just agreed. Why does my boss 35M keep mentioning his wife in convos with me 24F? Every single time. Even when it's irrelevant to the convo, he'll just mention his wife out of nowhere. He doesn't do this with other people, women included, only with me I noticed. Yes, I know sometimes men bring up their wife to set boundaries and make it clear they're taken, but there's no way anybody can interpret my convos with him as flirting. Why? Because I barely even talks to him. If anything out of all the employees, he talks to me the least. I mainly keeps to myself, but because he's my boss, I want to have somewhat of a decent relationship with him. 80% of the time we would go all day and would make small work-related comments to each other. Literally not even enough to call it convos. But yet whenever I do, he always finds a way to mention his wife in a way that's almost forceful and odd. For example, the other day, it was just me and him, and he was ringing a customer up. He asked if the customer had a phone number/account with us, and then looked at my direction and said really loudly, "My wife's phone number is the only phone number I know." And I didn't even say anything to him all day. If I had to guess, he either has a crush on you and is overcompensating, thinks that you have a crush on him, or is just hypersensitive about appearances. How long has this been going on? Maybe he likes talking about his wife. He's nervous you might fall to your knees and start sucking his cock. Another possible scenario no one has brought up yet. He could be worried about false accusations of inappropriate conduct, and he thinks he's legally protecting himself if he brings her up all the time. A lot of men who spend too much time online are paranoid that all women, especially pretty younger women, are just waiting to pounce on them with lawsuits and false accusations. That might not be it, but it's a possibility. Either way, don't worry about it. Just do your job, be professional, and let him play out whatever little drama he is going in his head. To paraphrase RuPaul, what other people think of you is none of your business. Ask him about his wife. Seriously, it puts him at ease and makes you look nice. A few scenarios come to mind. He's reminding himself he has a wife when you're around. He's misinterpreting your interactions with him as flirting. You're flirting, either intentionally or unintentionally. Wife had a chat with him about you at some point. Office gossip that hasn't made its way to you is about you and him. Maybe he is with others, but you're just not noticing it as it isn't directed to you. And maybe more. Who knows? You both are adults, ask him. If it is making you uncomfortable, ask yourself why it's making you uncomfortable. We'll help direct the conversation with the boss. I'm 23F, worried my boyfriend, 26M, has gone down a dark path, and I don't know why. Bear with me, I haven't posted on Reddit in years. My boyfriend, 26M, and I, 23F, have been together for almost 4 years, and within the last year I noticed a shift in him from moderate politically to somewhat on the right. Frankly, I don't care about politics, so when I noticed this shift it didn't immediately set off any alarm bells. More recently, he has started fights with me over politics, to the point where I feel like I need to play devil's advocate with him over things I really don't want to. I am simply not a confrontational person. He started blaming the Jews for everything. He thinks the Jews control our entire government, I'm American, the media, all the money in the world. He believes the Jews are evil. He also is just simply racist and homophobic. Again, it feels like this has happened all of a sudden. When he knows I have friends and family in my life who I love and cherish, that are POC and LGBT. When he starts arguments about these groups of people, I find myself getting really emotional, crying, and confused. All of this is so confusing to me. It is a complete 180 from the person I started this relationship with. It feels like this hateful rhetoric has come pretty much out of thin air. Today we had an argument where he was attempting to convince me that racism is pattern recognition. I've asked him where he gets all this information, and he will say something to the tune of the people online who notice it and post about it. If I do research into these topics and can't find anything remotely close to what he has said, he will tell me my eyes aren't open. I'm just blowing off the truth. At this point I feel like my relationship is crumbling. I need some advice. I need to know where this is coming from. I need to know if who he was when we first met was fake. I just want to make it very clear that I know what he is saying is insane. If you have any advice, or know where the hell this has come from, I'm willing to listen. I really miss the sweet boy I fell in love with. Is there any fixing this? Edit. I just want to add that I am in no way okay with what he has said. I need to clarify that the politics I didn't care about, that made me notice his slight lean right, was expressed during voting that was taking place in our local gov. Recently, as in the last month, the fights started getting intense, and his points have been increasingly far right. I haven't been dealing with this for long, that is why it is so confusing and shocking for me. The person you fell in love with was a lie. He thinks he has you trapped, so now he can be who he is. Common pattern with right-wing assholes. I'm sorry to be blunt, but the wife of a racist homophobe is guilty as such by association. If you continue to back this man, you can expect all of the POC and LGBT people in your life to distance themselves over time. Wow, I'm so sorry you're dealing with this. People don't just suddenly become racist and anti-Semitic overnight. This is a huge red flag. You deserve someone who respects your values and the people you love. Loving him doesn't mean tolerating hate. Protect yourself. Seriously consider stepping back. Han, he's not somewhat on the right, he's way to the extreme. Do not stay with someone who is so hate-filled. Nothing good will come of it. Frankly, I don't care about politics. Lots of my family and friends are POC and LGBTQ. Make it make sense. You either care about them or don't. Get out. He's dangerous to you and doesn't see you as human. The boyfriend you knew is gone. Red-pilled. Sorry.